What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So it is finally here. The GOP negotiators have actually given the Biden administration their proposal on infrastructure, and I want to go over that in this video. I will also address how a certain senator is trying to make it illegal for all lawmakers and all politicians to trade individual stocks. We know that the cryptocurrency market is forever changing, and there's obviously other things going on as well. So I'm gonna break down a lot of stuff in this video, but let's get right to it. First, recently there has been a lot of arguments both for and against a fourth stimulus check. We know there's obviously multiple lawmakers that oppose any additional stimulus going out to the American people, but there's also a good amount of lawmakers. There's roughly around 100 lawmakers that do support an additional stimulus check. Some support monthly stimulus checks. As of right now, there's roughly 50 representatives in the House that are pushing for a $2,000 per month stimulus check. We know Representative Ilhan Omar, she wants to see $2,000 monthly stimulus checks for the entirety of this pandemic, and then $1,000 per month for every single eligible American for 1 year after the pandemic is over. And we also know Bernie Sanders supports $2,000 stimulus checks, and so does Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. So we got a lot of support there. However, there's been more and more reports coming out lately where it is saying that right now there's too much money being spent. And some of the money that has been allocated is going unspent. So some are saying that we've provided billions and hundreds of billions of dollars for stimulus checks, but yet there's still hundreds of billions of dollars in unspent funds that have yet to go anywhere. And so lawmakers at this time, for some, okay, not all, some are saying they are not likely to pass another round of stimulus or checks until this money is actually gone. So right now, and over the past couple of days, we started getting reports. There's roughly $700 billion in money that has been allocated to certain issues. However, that money is sitting there and not being used. So some say, let's wait until this money is gone, and then we can determine where we need to provide more assistance. What we do know, according to reports, this money would most likely be gone sometime in the late summer or early fall. But if the GOP negotiators get their way and get that $700 billion in unused funding, if they get that and repurpose that for the infrastructure package, then that money would be gone instantly. Okay, so this is the big thing. That money would be taken from stimulus, moved to infrastructure, which would mean there's a higher potential chance, okay, there's a chance, it's not guaranteed, that we could see additional stimulus sometime in the fall. Again, these are just speculations at this time amongst other lawmakers and amongst economists. But what we do know is that there's talks and rumors, in support of both having a stimulus check and no, we provided too much. We also know that the former White House economic advisor, Larry Summers, he says that we need to see a break in stimulus before unleashing a serious burst of inflation. He also says, and again, this doesn't just refer to stimulus checks. He is talking about stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, rental and mortgage assistance, expanded nutrition assistance, and even the upcoming child tax credit. Right now, what some economists are saying is that yes, the child tax credit of $3,000 or $3,600 per year, that's gonna help millions and millions of Americans, millions. I think it's like close to 50 million children or something like that. It's an insane number, but it's gonna help out tens of millions of children. But what they are also saying is that we aren't technically factoring in what this additional money, additional stimulus, this monthly payment is going to do to the economy, what this will do to inflation. So some economists predict that we will see massive amounts of inflation sometime around September. This would mean that we'd see anywhere between 2 to 3 payments from the child tax credits before things really hit the fan. So again, this is not great news, but I just want to update you on what is currently going on and what we are expecting to happen over the late summer and early fall. Right now, we know that multiple lawmakers feel that the federal government has done too much, that they are still providing too much relief, too much stimulus to the American people and to the economy, that we are not self-sustaining. That is a bad thing. And they say adding fuel to the fire at this point will only make things worse. Honestly, adding fuel to a fire at any point makes things bigger and makes things worse. So we'll see what happens here. One way that we do know Democrats plan to get the economy somewhat back on track is by, and try to not risk hyperinflation, is through taxation. This is something that we've been hearing from a lot of people, from a lot of lawmakers, even President Biden himself. However, they all state they don't want to tax people that are making less than $400,000 per year, which means the wealthier individuals in our country will be the ones paying their fair share of taxes. Here's what we know. The Biden administration wants to see the IRS go after tax cheats. They're going to plan on doing this. They will implement this at some point. President Biden himself is proposing $80 billion to go to the IRS to hire on additional IRS agents to go after, some of these tax cheats and perform more audits. We know Senator Elizabeth Warren, she wants to provide about $31.5 billion to the IRS. And today, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stated she'd like to provide the IRS with an additional $13 billion. So they all have their different numbers. But as of right now, Janet Yellen, with her $13 billion, that seems like it's the most likely, not just because it's the smallest, but that would actually have some bipartisan support. Because yes, having the IRS go after tax cheats, it's not just going after Republicans, it's going after Democrats as well. So it's gonna go after both parties. And honestly, it should help provide more income, more tax revenue over the year. So we'll see what happens there. But Janet Yellen did state today that government funding for the IRS, not accounting for inflation, has not gone up and has been unchanged since 2010. That's going on 12 years. Okay, we're already 11 years, going on 12 years. That's a lot of years to see something not move, and yet they state the IRS has been in need of additional funding for years, but yet nobody's really addressed that. And now they say is the right time to boost funding to the IRS so that they can ensure compliance from the wealthiest taxpayers in our country. But something that I talked about yesterday, and if you didn't get a chance to go and watch it, I'll put that, it'll be the first link in the description box below. But I addressed how if we see more IRS agents, we are also going to see more audits, not just for the wealthier individuals. But according to the IRS, they say that the majority of audits they do are from people that make less than $50,000. It's not for people that are making millions and millions of dollars. And they say the reason for this is simply because their IRS agents cannot handle very complicated returns. So because of that, they have to go over and go after the easier tax returns, which usually mean it's just somebody with a W-2, maybe a little bit of investment income, but that's it. Maybe they cashed out an IRA a little bit early, right? These are the people they go after. They don't go after the person that's making millions and millions of dollars, that has investment income, right? That's getting royalties, that has, real estate, that has, maybe business income, right? And maybe they have a W-2, probably not. They have charitable donations. They have all these different things that kind of make this tax return a little more complicated. The IRS doesn't go after them. They go after people like you and I that have very easy tax returns to go through. And that's creating a big issue, because if we see the IRS get more money, chances are the average American is going to see their audits go up. We're going to have more audits, which hopefully everyone has their taxes in order. And if that's the case, great, the audit won't matter. But you're just going to waste your time, and they're going to go through an audit. So it is what it is. Something else that we heard today that we know is happening is that the GOP negotiators finally unveiled their infrastructure proposal. Finally, this happened. The proposal came in at $928 billion. This is less than what President Biden was wanting. President Biden, even though the GOP negotiators came up roughly $360 billion, what we do know is that Democrats still aren't happy with this progress. And they say that, yes, any progress is good progress. However, this was not enough. This was not substantial enough. They're still too far apart in negotiations. We also know that President Biden wanted to see at least $1 trillion. That was one of the stipulations that he made, was we need to see that you guys come closer, and you need to be closer. You need to be at least at $1 trillion. We knew that the Democrats came down from $2.25 trillion down to $1.7 trillion. Republicans came up from $568 billion, or $548 or whatever, up to $928 billion. So, they did come up a little bit, but again, it's not as much as some people wanted. So, that right now they're saying that even though this one area was not met, they did include in their proposal exactly what they want to spend it on. And so let's go over that right now, because this is pretty important. They want to spend $506 billion for roads, bridges, and major infrastructure projects, including $4 billion for electric vehicles. $4 billion is a slap in the face for Democrats who want to spend a lot more. They also want to spend $98 billion for public transit, $72 billion for water systems, $65 billion for broadband, $56 billion for airports, $46 billion for passenger and freight rail systems, $22 billion for port and railways, $22 billion for water storage, $21 billion for safety efforts, and $20 billion for infrastructure financing. The goal with this proposal was just pure infrastructure. No social infrastructure is in this bill. That's exactly how Republicans wanted it. Democrats obviously will pass social infrastructure through a budget reconciliation after they pass some type of bipartisan agreement here. So we will see what happens, but as of right now, there is discussions going on. We will see what happens. We will see over the next week, while Democrats and Republicans, while all of Congress is away on recess over the next week, okay? Because as of right now, the Senate's gone. The House of Representatives have been away already. They're already on recess. They will be away for next week. So we are going to see, different people work together. We're going to see different ideas, different proposals. That is good. That is exactly what we want to see. We do not want to hear that nothing is being done over this next week. If that's the case, chances are what will happen is we will see a budget reconciliation. We will see Democrats go at this alone, and that is going to make Republicans very upset. Also, today, we got word that Senator Elizabeth Warren plans on introducing legislation very soon to make it illegal for politicians to purchase individual stocks. Over the past year, multiple lawmakers have been investigated for insider trading, and it's very easy to see why. If a lawmaker makes a trade, let's say, for example, Nancy Pelosi ended up buying a decent amount of Tesla back when I think it was like upper $600, maybe low $700 range. Well, if Tesla would have went up to, let's say, $1,000, I guarantee you Nancy Pelosi would have been investigated. However, being that Tesla dropped into the mid fives. And if Nancy Pelosi bought it in the, let's say, low sevens, right? That's probably one of the reasons why she's not being investigated at this time. But if Nancy Pelosi knew, okay, we're going to pass legislation for EV credits. We're going to really push for electric vehicle charging stations. If she knew all this stuff was going to happen beforehand, it's easy to be like, okay, well, I'm going to buy in now when Tesla's at, $565. Tesla isn't at $565, by the way. I think they're like $630, I believe, as of right now. Don't quote me on that. It changes very quick. But if people are like, okay, I'm going to buy it now because I know it's just going to go up, right? Well, that's what we're getting. Right now, a lot of people are saying that nobody that is involved in making the laws should be able to trade stocks, as this would always have them have some type of inside knowledge well before the average trader knows any information. And this is absolutely true. If you saw that, okay, we got the finance committee, they're trading all these certain stocks, chances are if you bought those stocks, and they were trading based on the knowledge that they had that, okay, we're going to do these few things, and then all of a sudden these stocks just blow up and they're making tons of money. Well, what do you think's happening? That's insider trading. This is why a lot of lawmakers get investigated. And so I don't expect what Senator Warren is doing and what she's going to propose, I don't expect this to pass. I think multiple lawmakers, both Republican and Democratic, are going to oppose this. But what we could see, according to reports, is we could see some type of reform done to keep things very open and transparent. We already get a slight peek into what some people are trading, but other than that, honestly, there's more that could be done here. So We'll see what happens there. But on the same line, there's also an issue with cryptocurrency trading, and some lawmakers would say they want to see a crackdown on the trading, but there's a lot of talks on that right now. And honestly, I could tell you what some of the different ideas are, some of the plans, could be. A lot of it's just speculation at this point because there's nothing really concrete here. We know that right now the Biden administration does want to crack down on tax cheats. One of the biggest tax cheats, according to reports at this point, is going to be cryptocurrency traders, especially with the year that we've just had. So, according to reports, that we are going to see a lot of people get audited because of them not reporting their income from the cryptocurrency trading, whether you are trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, or other altcoins. It doesn't matter. Every single coin, you have to report your income. Any income is income. According to the IRS, you must report it. So, as we get more information there, I promise I will fill you in on those details. I just don't want to jump into all this speculation as to what might happen because honestly, it's still very early and we haven't seen any concrete evidence that we are going towards that yet. But again, it will most likely happen over the next probably few months. But as of right now, that's really all we know. Again, there's a lot going on regarding infrastructure. There's talks on stimulus. There's obviously negotiations happening, kind of behind the scenes. The Biden administration is working on other things as well. We don't got a lot of movement down at the border, right? Again, it's kind of back and forth. The Biden administration is working on so many things that honestly, according to multiple experts, they say that little to nothing is getting done at this time because they have their hands in all these different buckets. Instead of working on one thing, getting it done and finalizing, and then moving on to the next thing, the administration is just kind of everywhere and just scattered around. So we'll see what happens, but as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and fill you in on the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.